Welcome back to Woodturning in the Stable Studios. Today we're going to do a review on some carbide tools which have been sent to me by a company called Carbide Tools. So let's get over to the lathe and we'll unbox the said tools and see what we've got.
Let's get into the opening of the box. So it comes in fairly straightforward, simple packaging. There's no expensive packaging, not when it was sent to me anyway. So it just came in an ordinary cardboard box. So let's have a look. There's a pack of keys. They're little like Torx drivers for removing the carbide cutters. A small aluminium handle, and there are 4 steel shafts with a carbide attached. So each of the carbides has a different cutter and slightly different sizes. I'll explain that later. So that's the 4 steel shafts. We'll go through the wooden ones in a bit more detail. So the next ones coming out of the box are the wooden shafted tools. So the website says that they're ash. That first one is definitely an ash handle, but the other 3 are beech handles. So that's the finishing tool there, and this one is the square roughing tool, and the last one coming out then is the detailer. So that's them coming out the box, and we'll go on for a bit more detail just in a second.
So that's all we had in the box, so just we can start to have a look at the tools. Quick look at what they are. Aluminium handle. It's quite smooth on the grip, but when you actually try twisting your hand, get a grip of it, it's not too bad. Both ends are threaded and they unscrew. So that's just a cap on that end. You could add some extra weight in there if you felt the need. Unscrews at this end as well, and this is the tool holder that I'm taking off. So quickly unscrew that. Very, very simple piece of aluminium, machined aluminium. Put that back on. The tools are actually held in themselves by 2 little Allen screws. Allen key is provided. They just screw in and screw in and out. So I'll just unscrew them. So that's basically the handles. Very simple, straightforward piece of kit. Now the 4 cutters. The 4 cutters are all made with carbon steel at 12mm. The 12mm bar. These 3 are 250mm long, and the round-tipped hollower shaft is 320mm long. Cutter sizes are slightly different as well. On the rougher, we have this little rougher is a radiused cutter. They do a radiused and a straight square end. So this one is 15 by 15 by 2.5mm, and the cutters are mostly cut to 30 degrees, with the exception of the diamond cutter, which is this one, which is cut to 35 degrees. So there's 3 different types of cutters. We've got the square, and we've got 2 rounds, different sizes obviously, and then we have the diamond cutter as well for detail work. It comes supplied with little Torx screws or Torx spanner to undo the. We'll do this big round one, which looks easier, and it just unscrews. Quickly unscrew that without dropping it on the floor, he says, hopefully. Take that screw out, and the cutter just lifts off. So the little cutters are quite substantial. Tungsten carbide, machined. Obviously the end of the shaft is machined to suit. So they're easily adjusted and easily rotated for when they start to get blunt. I'll just screw that back up gently. There we go. So it's as simple as that. That's the set. 2 things that I don't like, just right off the bat before I get any further. The handle is a bit smooth for gripping, and this hollower, because the shaft is cranked and the cutter's a good inch and a bit. It's a good 30 mil, inch and a half maybe, off the centre line of the tool. That could easily lead to twisting rotation. So if you're using this and you get a bit of a catch, it's going to always want to try and do that. And because it's a round bar, it's all going to be in your wrists trying to keep that in place. That would have been much better if it had been cranked out and back in line with the shaft.
So apart from those two things I pointed out, they appear to be a well-made set of tools. The carbide cutters are sharp. I don't know how long they'll last, but they feel like good quality. So let's now have a look at the wooden handled set.
The set includes 4 carbide turning tools, the 4 carbide inserts, 4 screws, and the keys for removing the carbides. These are the little keys. They're Torx keys. So let's have a look at each one in turn. This is the square roughing gouge, they call it, and it's 470 mil long. So the shaft length is 180, and the tool itself, the handle, is 290. All these 3 tools are the same sizes, so we'll not be going through them again. The square cutter on this one, let me just use this as a pointer. The square cutter is actually numbered 1, 2, 3, and then just a little dash, so you know where you're rotating it. When one side goes blunt, you can easily change it, and you know where you are. It's an M6 by 8 screw holding it in, and it's 14 mil square, as I say. So the next one then is the round tipped full size finisher, they call it. Again, it's on its 12 mil bar. It's the same size as the last one, same handle, 470 total length. The round cutter on this one is 16 mil by 3 mil deep, and it has a 30 mil or 30 degree bevel. Not that you'd be using the bevel on it. The next tool then is a diamond tipped full size detailer. Again, it has a small Torx screw in it to hold the cutter in. That's an M4 by 8 screw. Again, it's the same length, and again, the 12 mil bar. And the last tool in this set then is the hollower, which is slightly bigger. It's a full 500 mil long. The handle is 205, the shaft is 295. The good thing about this is that the cutter head is in line with the shaft, unlike the other one. And it's got a good substantial bar. The bar is 12 mil deep, but it's, let me see, how much is it? I think it's 20 mil wide actually. Let me just measure that for you just to be on the correct side for you. Yeah, it's a 20 mil wide bar and a 12 mil deep. So that's a fairly substantial piece of steel that you can use to support the tool. Obviously it goes down as it turns the corner here, but I think that's quite substantial. The little cutter on the end is smaller cutter than the rest. It's only 12 mil and it's only 2.5 mil deep. Again, but it's 30 mil, and the little screw is a 4 by 8 mil. So all these are tungsten carbide cutters, and the spares are readily available on the website, and I'll give you details of that later. So that's the tools. We've looked at both sets now. The next thing we're going to do now is have a play with them and see what they feel like in our hand when we're actually turning something. What we'll do now is we'll get over to the lathe and we'll use the tools in a proper turning environment. So let's have a look on the lathe. Okay, so here we are at the lathe. I've got a piece mounted on the lathe, small piece of ash that we're going to turn into a little dish. It's 6 inches by 2 inches. And let's just bring this to round. So we'll use the rougher for that. So we'll use the square rougher for that. And set our tool rest back slightly so as we can get some good purchase on the tool. We want this to be on center. If I bring that across to there, that is cutting on center, horizontal to parallel to the ground. There. So that'll give me the correct angle of attack for the tool. So this is in bowl orientation, and we're just using it because it's cutting end grain and side grain. I'm just using the edge of the tool. So we're cutting mainly on the front face, but we're using this edge as well, just as a little. And we can drag the tool across there, slide it across our tool rest, and it makes a fairly nice. Let's have a look at the finish on that. You can see it's pretty well torn out there. Lots of torn grain on the end grain. So there's the end. The end grain is this way. End grain here, and end grain here. It's all pretty torn out. But on the side grain, it's not quite so bad. But it's still torn out. So it's actually making not a bad job of that. So I'm going to try angling it down just a little bit and try that. See will that help with the tear out. And just look at that again. So that's much better. If we angle the tool down slightly. So maybe a negative rake scrapers might be a better job. But that's almost round. This is going to be a very simple little dish. So we use the roughing tool just to start to bring this to square. So we'll take a lump off of there. Now we can just
You'll see from that picture that I'm just using the corner and the front edge of the tool. So I'm using it at 45 degrees there if you like, and that's just taking little steps out of the edge. And now I'm just going to try and use the left edge of it just to see how it feels, and it actually feels okay. So I've just made the base, the outline of the base there, and now I'm just blending those little high points down into a curve. And just continue that process, speed it up a little bit for you. Just blending that shape into some kind of decent shape. The tool's actually cutting it really well, although it does leave a bit of tear out. So that's the square cutter, and we're just shaping the outside of the bowl. So I'll just show you that from the overhead view as well. Now I did find that if you sometimes if you can just let the tool go just slightly below centre, it sort of tip the edge down slightly, it produces a nicer cut. So we're going to use the finishing tool now just to refine the outside edge of this shape. And I have to say that it makes a big difference between the rougher and this tool. This produces a nice and much nicer and finer cut, although there is still a substantial amount of tear out. So using that finishing tool produced a much better cut. I just had a detailed look at it there, and there are still some bits of tear out, but it's not overly bad, and 80 grit will soon sort it out. So we'll just set the mortise now, and we're going to use the detailing tool just to give us a starting cut, and then we'll use the square cutter just to bring that down to the correct depth. So I'll just change the camera view for you, a little bit closer view. So we're going to use this detailing tool and make about a 4mm cut. I've speeded this up to about 4 times the normal speed, and we'll use the rougher just to get it down, get rid of the waste in the bottom of that mortise. So now we're using the detailer just to create the dovetail and do a little bit of highlighting decoration in the bottom of the bowl. Finish off with the finishing tool just to clean up the bottom of that, and that's the bowl, outside of the bowl finished. So quickly sanded from 80 to 240 grit, and didn't bore you with the sanding, and my standard finish sanding sealer, Yorkshire grit, and then Hampshire sheen high gloss polish.
Now that's that done. So what I'm going to do now is just go try and do a little bit of decoration on the outside edge. So what I want to do is just put a couple of lines on the top, and we're just going to burn these in. So we'll just do a little line there and a little line here, and just to add a little bit of decoration. So just a gentle cut there, there and there. Try and get them both the same depth. I'll just show you that from a close-up point of view. So just a fine little cut there, a fine little cut there, and then we'll burn that in with a piece of Formica. Turn the speed up. Good little burn lines. Let's have a look at that. That's nice. So let's get this reverse mounted.
So we'll quickly just skip you through the remounting of the bowl. Now starting the hollowing of the inside using the tool from the smaller set with the aluminium handle with the radiused square cutter. And just as you're watching that, you'll see that the tool gets grabbed a couple of times and it kind of twists in my hand. Just there. So I decided that I would change and go to it's basically what's termed as the round finisher. But I found that to be the most effective tool in the set for hollowing out the inside of this small bowl, and it was really effective. It definitely removed a whole lot of timber very, very quickly. And as we get towards the end there, I just checked and we're just finessing just that edge, just using a very light cut. Well, that's the hollowing process finished. So I just took the bowl and I finished it as I normally do, as I did earlier with the outside. Produced a nice little result, I think.
So there's the finish on the inside, and we go to the outside again. There it is. There's no great tear out or anything in that now. So there we go, nice little bowl.
I did a couple of projects with these tools today. So this is a piece of magnolia, which is a fair size of a piece. It's about 9 inches long. And I made a hollow form from just a vase basically, just to try the hollowing tool. So in the beginning here I just kind of roughed it out. So I'm just going to speed this on through, but then I'll highlight a couple of parts that I really want to show you. And that square roughing tool is doing a good job getting rid of the bulk of the material, but I've changed now to the round carbide because I want to start adding a little bit of shape into this. I'm going to make a little cove here basically. Just let you see that in a bit of normal speed first, and then we'll speed it back up again. Quickly get through this and get the shape into it. So we're at times 20 speed here. We just put a little tenon on the end using the square carbide, and the other end we'll just kind of sort out into the shape and get it ready to reverse mount or to mount into the chuck. Now we've got it mounted to the chuck, and we just squared the end off and prepared to drill a hole as a pilot hole to start the hollowing. So I just used my Forstner bit there. In a second I'll just change the angle for you. And I started off hollowing this with the round carbide from the smaller set with the aluminium handle, just to see how that would perform. And it does, as I suspected, if you get any kind of, if you're overly hard with the tool, it does tend to twist it, try to twist in your hand. So a little bit of knurling or something, or even a rubber grip on the outside of the tool would be better, I think. And I've changed now to the square shafted tool with the wooden handle, and that makes a much better job. And now we're trying to hollow the inside using the cranked carbide for hollowing, and I have to say, makes a very good job. It does leave a bit of tear out, but it is an effective tool, and it's nicely balanced in the hand, and it works really well for getting in around the corners and on in behind the lip where we sometimes we struggle with a straight bar tool. So again, let's continue this just at 20 times speed, and you'll notice that I used the drill again just to get a little bit further down in. So now we're hollowing sort of between 4 inches deep and almost 7.5 inches deep. So you'll see that at this stage I'm going to stop now just in a second. And the reason I stopped is because we're getting to about the limit of these tools, just in around between 5 and 6 inches. It starts to get quite hard to control the tool. To be fair, most tools kind of struggle past sort of 4 inches overhanging the tool rest anyway. So that's no hardship. So there I've just changed to the hollowing tool again, and I'm just finessing that edge. So hopefully you'll remember from when I introduced you to the tools that I didn't really like this cranked shaft for the smaller set with the aluminium handle. So I'm just going to demonstrate it to you. I actually feel this is actually quite dangerous, this tool, so just watch what happens. So whenever it catches, it actually wants to pull the tool. Now I just demonstrated it in slow speed there, but I'm going to actually show you it, so keep your eyes open. Yeah, bear in mind guys that I'm doing this in a really controlled condition, and just watch. So that was quite a spectacular catch. I'd rather not do that again if I can avoid it, so I'll just point out here what the problem is, and there's the correct answer. The tool carbide cutter being in line with the centre of the shaft stops that rotational pull. Doesn't eliminate it completely, but it certainly negates it hugely. So that little tool on the left with the round carbide and the round shaft certainly needs to be redesigned. I've already spoken to the manufacturers, and I hope they take that on board. Having said that, I finished it off with the large hollowing tool with the wooden handle, with absolutely no issue at all. That's actually a good tool. The wooden tool set is actually a good set of tools. The other set maybe needs a bit of refining. So I just finished this off, sanding the inside, etc., and I'll skip to the end here now. So there we are, that's the project finished. I did a couple of spindles as well, just to see how they would could we make beads and coves. Yes, you can, using the round carbide for making the coves, and I used a little detail tool to make the beads. It's not as easy as using a spindle gauge, but it can be done. So we did a little bowl, we did a vase, and we did a couple of little spindle turns as well. So in conclusion then, I would just like to say that the tools feel like they're a good quality manufacture. The wooden set in particular are on par with others I have seen but not actually used. Some of you might know this is my first experience using carbide tools. I had no problem with the tools at all. The carbides are nice and sharp, and the tools are manufactured to a good level. There is a little issue with the smaller set with the aluminium handle. Obviously the grip on the handle and the cranked end of the hollowing, but other than that, I've enjoyed the process of using these. A couple of little pros for it. It's a really easy learning curve. They're a really good price. There's no need for sharpening. and they can be used to produce some nice bits of work, as you'll see in a second. So here's the finished products. We have a small ash bowl, which is roughly 6 inches by 2 inches. Finished really well. Just had a little additional sanding, that's all the difference. And we also made this magnolia vase, which came out really well too. The hollowing wasn't difficult. We got down almost to 6 inches without having to use any specialist equipment at all. And that was an enjoyable turn, to be honest. And then the little spindles, beads and cove stick, just to highlight what the tools can actually do. In conclusion then, I would say that if you were looking to get into wood turning with no experience at all, the wooden handled set I would buy and use to get myself started. So I would happily recommend the wooden set. The littler set maybe needs a little bit more modification, but other than that, it's been a pleasurable experience trying to review these tools for you. Thanks very much for watching.